What if the Great Pyramid wasn't built to honor a king, but to survive the end of a world? Because long before modern archaeology assigned it a date, ancient writers told a very different story. A story about preserved knowledge, coming catastrophe, and structures built to outlast both. So maybe the real question isn't, who built the pyramids? Maybe it's, what were they built to survive? Today, mainstream archaeology places the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt's 4th dynasty, around 2500 BC, often attributed to Pharaoh Khufu, and by every measure, it's extraordinary. Over 2 million stone blocks, precise alignment to true north, mathematical proportions still studied today. But here's something worth pausing on. There's no detailed contemporary record explaining how it was built. No blueprints, no step-by-step accounts, just later attribution. Now that doesn't disprove anything, but it does open the door to a deeper question. When you step outside that timeline for a moment, what did earlier voices think they were for? One of those voices is Flavius Josephus. Writing in the 1st century, he records a tradition about the descendants of Seth, Adam's line. According to that tradition, they foresaw 2 future destructions of the world, one by fire and one by flood. So they built 2 pillars, one of brick, one of stone, inscribed with knowledge, astronomy, discoveries, so that something would survive. Now pause here, because this is where it gets interesting. Josephus isn't describing engineering details. He's preserving a memory, but he makes a striking claim, that the stone pillar still stood in his day, in the land of Syria, often associated with Egypt, a structure meant to outlast catastrophe. And that raises a question. If your goal was to survive a world-changing event, what would you build? Not something decorative, not something fragile, something massive, stable, difficult to destroy. Because structures built for survival look different from structures built for display. Even today, when we design for worst-case scenarios, vaults, bunkers, long-term archives, durability comes first. Here's the pattern. When something is built to survive catastrophe, its design reveals its purpose. Now bring that back to the Great Pyramid. Minimal inscriptions, unlike later Egyptian tombs, extraordinary precision, and a level of permanence that stands apart. But here's the tension. That's not how tombs are usually designed. Now to be clear, none of this proves a pre-flood origin. Mainstream archaeology presents a strong case for a 4th dynasty construction, but the ancient traditions introduce a different angle. Not just when something was built, but why it was built that way. Because this idea, preparing before catastrophe, isn't foreign to Scripture. In Genesis, Noah builds the ark, not as a monument, but as a means of survival. Later, Joseph stores grain before a coming famine, and the pattern repeats. Warning, preparation, preservation. Not everything is built for the present. Some things are built for what's coming. Now, connect that back to the pre-flood world. In texts like the Book of Enoch, that world isn't described as primitive, but as accelerating, knowledge expanding, capability increasing. And if that world faced a coming disruption, it wouldn't be unreasonable to try preserving what mattered most, not just through stories, but through structures. Because memory doesn't only survive in writing. Sometimes, it's embedded in what endures. So we're left with a real tension. On one side, the established archaeological timeline. On the other, ancient traditions describing preservation before catastrophe. And in the middle, a structure unlike anything else. A royal tomb, a monument of power, or something designed with a different priority, endurance. So, maybe the question isn't, were the pyramids built before the flood? Maybe the better question is, what were they built to survive? Because if something was designed to outlast the end of a world, it means someone, somewhere, expected that end to come. What do you think? A masterpiece of ancient engineering within the timeline we know, or a structure shaped by a deeper purpose we're still trying to understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And as we go deeper into this Egyptian series, this is where it starts to connect. Because the story of Egypt doesn't begin with Moses. It reaches further back than most people realize. Sources for Josephus, pyramid archaeology, and related traditions are in the description. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next.